I mean, incredible. I'm Hannah Tindle. I am the Beauty and Grooming Editor at Wallpaper. So the Wallpaper Design Awards is a moment that we take to reflect on the past year, to kind of present a snapshot of the moment, but also looking at where that can then go in the year following. I think that beauty will continue on this kind of upward trajectory of celebrating play, celebrating individuality. People are a bit tired of the sort of cookie cutter version of beauty. We want something a bit new. We want something a bit playful, a bit fun, and that speaks to a sort of anything goes eclecticism. And I think that that is reflective, not just of beauty, but fashion. Obviously, they're inextricably linked. And I think that we're generally wanting this across culture. People are very bored of a very sort of homogenized, algorithmic image. There's a real sense of people wanting to express who they are more than ever with beauty. That is very much what houses and brands are creating. Products that feel playful, expressive, and aren't a one-size-fits-all. Okay. So Prada launched its first beauty line in 2023, and they were formulated by the key makeup artist, Lindsay Alexander. The eyeshadow palettes in particular, they're called Dimensions eyeshadow palettes. And every one of them has this sort of very bizarre color palette. They're a little sort of Memphis Milano, I'd say. Very in keeping with the way that, Miuccia Prada has championed this idea of something that's quite ugly. It diffuses out in this sort of very sort of almost, again, quite 80s airbrushed way. There's so many ways you can wear them. It's really about this sense of kind of anything goes. Pop it in the middle and it adds a bit more dimension. I mean, fitting, that's the name of the palette, Dimensions. The Dior show collection, which first was launched by the house in 2002, it kind of received a bit of an update this year. They're these very sort of pastel retro shades. It was based around this idea of creating a really easy and playful eye routine. So there were eyeshadows and, again, eyeliners that really kind of played with color, texture. This colour just reminds me of the looks with the false lashes that, the House of Dior would have had in their campaigns, particularly in the 60s and 70s. This idea of kind of ease and kind of, inviting whoever's using the products to kind of play around with them. And then also, I found there was a kind of tie there between what was going on at Hermès. There was a particular collection that sort of came out towards the end of 2024 that was, it's one of the most beautiful makeup collections I've possibly ever seen. It's just so good, I'm literally obsessed. It's just so good. It's a collection of 40 lip and eye pencils, and it was inspired by the kind of feeling you'd get as a child when you got a pencil case with a pristine new set of crayons. Oh, it's just heaven. And I thought that was interesting in kind of many different ways, but particularly the idea of childlike play and kind of returning to that sense of freedom and using the pencils to kind of draw freehand and make marks on the face and use it as a canvas. And all these colours are they're quintessentially Hermès. If you think about the silks, the house archives, and I love that the beauty line just speaks to the entire house. Similarly at Chanel, there was a lot of the limited edition collections that were produced throughout the year, are produced by the Comet Collective, who is a group of young and emerging makeup artists. The one for Spring/Summer 24 was based all around the colour blue. It was a real celebration of the entire spectrum of blue. I think of Derek Jarman's film Blue, I think of Blue Velvet by David Lynch. The makeup artist who created them, Valentina Lee, and she talks about the colour blue as though it's a reflection of her inner world. It's Yves Klein. It's an Yves Klein blue, which again I think speaks to this idea of wanting to reflect who you are as an individual through beauty. And I loved that this was kind of focusing on just one colour and really getting everything out of that colour that you can possibly get. I mean, we love a waterproof pencil because we get slightly emotional sometimes. Also in 2024, we saw Celine produce its first beauty collection under the direction of Celine, and it was one product that they've launched with, and it's this very sort of, I guess, a sort of universal red. It's scented, I think, with rose and rice paper. It really reminded me of the designs that Celine has kind of championed in the house, which obviously refer back to the archives of the house from the 1960s and 1970s, so sort of very modernist, very clean, minimal. She could be wearing a white t-shirt and a jean and this, and it's kind of becomes an accessory in itself. It kind of could be worn by anybody. It was almost as quintessential as a blazer, a black blazer. I really liked that idea of celebrating the individual in that way. You know, it doesn't always have to be about this sort of like, you know, riotous scribbling all over your face. It can be as simple as you take one product and you wear it your way. So, you know, whether you put a bit of gloss over the top and make it really shiny, whether you wear it with a graphic liner or you wear it with a totally bare face, which I think is very French, and super moisturizing, which is, you know, what you want. I want to see more. I want to see more of what we've seen this year. I want to see more color, more texture, more play. I want to see more collections that really allow the user of whatever products they may be to experiment. To find out who the other winners are of the Wallpaper 2025 Design Awards, pick up a copy on your newsstands today or head to wallpaper.com.